almost 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to be given a substantial amount of money and a lot of people. Just people. It was part of a company that wanted to hire me, and I was basically handed $1 million and 2,000 people to create this movement of doing good across the country. And I went into it head first and said, all right, wow, I've got the money and I've got the people. It's all you need really in order to do something great. Like, what would you do if someone were to walk up to you and hand you $1 million and 2,000 people and say, just go for it? Like, no plan, no strategy, just go, do whatever is inside of you to do it. And so I just ran headfirst into that. I thought everybody's going to want to do more good in the world. They're going to want to change the world for better. They're going to hear my message, and they're going to go for it. They're going to go crazy. Like, this is the best thing ever. And I went into this company of 2,000 employees and $1 million to spend. And I had this message, but no one knew me. And I went in and I thought, I've got this message, everybody's going to get so excited about it. And so I came up with this fascinating idea of spreading this message. And it was fortune cookies. I know. You're blown away already. I know, you're looking at me like, yes, fortune cookies, of course. And I filled every fortune cookie with this amazing message of doing good in the world. And my first purchase, it didn't cost $1 million, but about $40,000, was 500,000 fortune cookies. This was my idea of how I was going to change the world. Now, some of you look at me and think, well, he's really successful. It's not because I've done everything right along the way, believe me. 500,000 fortune cookies went out across the country and ended up becoming packing peanuts. Because no one knew what to do. There was a message that was going out, but no one knew me. The reason I have you pinch yourself is because what I had to learn along the way in my leadership is that one of the things that we have to teach people to do is how to be human again. Yeah. How to feel again. The greatest you is the moments where you are human. That's the greatest you. And if you argue with that idea, you'd have to argue with God because He's the one that created you to be that. So in all of our feelings and personality and quirks, and some of us have quirks. Look at the person next to you, tell them, you have some quirks. We understand this, that we've been created for something great, but we run from our humanity. We run from who we really are because we feel like we're not going to fit in, or we're not going to be good enough, or we're not going to be accepted, or we're not going to be loved. And that fear sets us apart from our humanity, and it's that humanity that creates the greatness in others. As leaders, your role in other people's lives is not to prove that you can lead them. It's not to prove that you have authority. It's not to show that you know more than they know. Your role in leadership in other people's lives in this world is simply to be human too. To be vulnerable, to be real, to simply say, I don't know how I'm going to raise this kid. As Andrew said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to give it my best shot. It's standing up at 50 years old and saying, I've screwed up a bunch. And it's in those moments, I don't know if you felt it, but I felt it, that's when they became real.
Right.
Yeah. Not the laundry list, not the grocery list, it's not a bunch of facts, it's not proving how smarter you are than everybody else in the room. It's showing your humanity. It's saying the reason that Ryan is who Ryan is because at 6 years old here in Marion, my mom, who was diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, took a shotgun into my backyard and took her life. My dad was a heroin addict. That's why every single day I remember I'm still that 6-year-old little kid. Still that 6-year-old little kid, and that's where my humanity comes from. It's in those moments where I realize that there's something greater, and the greatness that has been placed inside of me can only come out when I choose to be human with people, when I choose to be real, when I choose not to be fake, when I choose to say, this is who I am, love me or not, this is Ryan. It's in those moments where leadership becomes real, and I stood up in front of 2,000 people throughout the last 3 years, and now 3,000 people as the company's been growing. And it's in those moments where I share my story, where I indicate my humanity, where I say to those that I'm able to speak with, this is who I am, and this is what we're going to do. This is more than a message and a fortune cookie. This is choosing to tell people to pinch themselves again in a world that's, for me, of 3,000 employees that are in retail locations scattered across the country, that employers typically teach us not to be human. Just do the task, get the task done. And so to step into a company to remind people to be human again, to feel again. When you see the kid that doesn't have food, what does that compel you to do? When you see the mom who's struggling, what does that compel you to do? When you see the person who's hurting, how does that make you hurt? Do you feel that? And if you feel that, you're closer to your leadership than you've ever been. But if you're willing to step into that feeling, if you're willing to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice, if you're willing to feel what other people feel and be empathetic toward others, to really feel it, be moved with so much feeling that you're willing to do something about it. So I went in with this message, but it wasn't received because it was fortune cookies. Not everybody likes fortune cookies. But as I pressed into that, as I started becoming more and more real and just saying, this is Ryan, all of a sudden, little by little, I started realizing people are willing to follow a person, not a message. So many times we're trying as leaders, and I'm assuming this room is filled with leaders. Kids, listen to me, you can get this really quick. You don't have to be 30 years old to do this. I started realizing the more I stepped in and pressed into that humanity, into my feeling, into me saying, this is who Ryan is, this is the reality of what I deal with every day. These are my struggles. This is my pain. I started realizing really quick that people, when they listen to your message, listen with a part of their brain when you talk about what you want to do and how great you want this movement to become and how you want to change the world is different than when you're sharing your pain. The moment you start sharing your pain is the moment that it triggers something in someone else's mind to say, I can do this too. Like, here's this kid who's 6 years old who loses a mom to suicide, and a dad who's on heroin, that grows up in Marion, Indiana, that has this opportunity that all of a sudden these great things are happening, and this is the message that continues to grow and grow and grow. And now, because of humanity, of choosing to allow people simply to be human again, to remind them that they feel that that is real, then this entire idea came into my mind. And as I was driving from Indianapolis here tonight, just popped into my head again, that we discover our humanity, and we know that when our greatest passion, the passion that's inside of us to do something because we're moved by our humanity, collides with our greatest contribution, what we're able to do with what we've been given, whether it's $1 million or $10. We've worked with $10 for years. We've worked with empty bank accounts for years. Don't say, well, if I had $1 million, I could do it too. $1 million is a lot harder to work with than 10. That we discover our humanity when our greatest passion collides with our greatest contribution to make the world better. What's your greatest contribution? What's your greatest passion? Don't worry about what you don't have and what's limiting you or what you feel is limiting you. Simply use what you have. Be human, be real, share that with others, and say, let's go do this together. That's humanity, and that's what changes the world. Thank you.